Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting and Creative podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham. So if I look a bit scruffy, I was just trying a jumper on. I am wearing my Felix pullover, which I steeped into a cardigan, knit in wool and mohair. It's a bit big, but I love it. It's nice and cosy. So I am recording a video today for you without any editing, like a straight from phone to computer episode, which I know some of you prefer, but some of you might miss the extra footage and music, so I'm sorry, the next one will probably be like that. But things have been a bit hectic and all over the place, so I wanted a quick catch up that wasn't, so I'm just checking a setting on my phone. Yeah, it's okay. I just wanted to do a quick check up because I've got quite a lot to share. So the sound might be a bit quieter than it normally is because I normally amp it up during editing. So if I am a bit quiet, then maybe try using some headphones or an external speaker. I have to be honest, I have to do this with everything I listen to because the speaker on my laptop's terrible, including Netflix and YouTube. So yes. Hello. I have some finished objects, some works in progress, some dyeing and minor acquisitions to share with you today. So I'm going to start with the smallest finished object and then go to a more complicated one. So I'm going to start by sharing these socks. So I've knit these sort of for my partner's birthday in a couple of weeks. This yarn was left over for some socks I knit for myself a couple of years ago. It was the Farnham Yarn Show special colourway that little grey girl did. And I had a 100-gram skein with the contrasts. I didn't go, but I bought it online because I really liked the colourway. However, it was a lot brighter in real life than I thought it was going to be. But I knit mine when I was on holiday in Mexico and it seemed like a really apt, colourful yarn for holiday Mexico socks. And so earlier in the year I got some leftover sock yarns cranked into tubes, and this was one of them. I had 60 grams left, I think, and so I had it cranked into a tube, and I haven't talked about that much because and it's taken me a while to get through them because I was actually a little bit disappointed in the gauge that they came back at. I knit all of my socks on 2mm needles, which is quite dense, and I wrongly assumed that a cranked sock tube, so like you can send yarn off and have it like knit into a tube on a machine. Because it's a machine, I thought it would be finer, but it actually came back at a much looser gauge than I knit at. So they do fit my partner, so it's worked out well for that. So for me it was quite a quick knit. I just did the cuffs, toes, and I learnt to do an afterthought heel, which I've never done before. So I did have to learn to do that. So it is at a looser gauge than I would knit socks at, but he doesn't wear hand knit socks all the time. He just wears them on like his pub night out with the guys and things like that. So I'm not too worried about that because he's not going to be living in them, just, you know, when he goes to the pub. So I think it'll be okay. I knit all of the contrast bits on 2.5mm needles, and it does look a bit tighter than the gauge of the main sock, but that's not a bad thing. It means those places will be a bit more resilient to wear. What else do I have to say about them? The way I handled it, because I've never knit afterthought heels before, and I was really worried about the placement of the heel and getting it in the right place. I cut the tube in half, I knit the cuffs, I sort of did my best guess at where the heel should be by looking at the other pair of socks I knit him. I did the heel, and then I did the toe last, because it turned out that I'd actually left too many stripes for the foot, and I had to take off 2 stripes at the end so that it'd be the right length. They would have been too long. So I figured if they were too short, then we'd just have a bit of a longer black bit. If they were too long, I could just take a bit off. So I'll be giving these to him in a couple of weeks for his birthday. I thought that was a good present. So that's that. The next the next finished object I wanted to share with you, I have quite complicated feelings about. I love it now, but I am really unhappy with the pattern, so I'm going to talk it through with you. It is beautiful. I do love it now, but you know, we'll talk it through. This is the pattern Laax Sweater by Caitlin Hunter. It's relatively new. I bought the yarn when I was away on holiday a few weeks ago, and I knit it really quickly. So the yarn I bought, the mini skeins, are Yarnedelic by Arbon, and they're like these really lovely, subtly mixed coloured yarns. Because of the way Arbon they dye the fleece and then spin. So this is like a lovely subtle marl of yellow and orange, and it's called Wondrous Place. I then also used colour called Sunflowers in My Garden, and the other one was the Beautiful Ones. I'm going to assume the Beautiful Ones is the creamy colour and the Sunflower in the Gardens is yellow. And then the main colour is West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece Blueface Leicester DK in the colour Fossil. Now the pattern is a sport weight. The main colour yarn I used is a DK weight, and the mini skeins are supposedly worsted weight. However, the meterage of the mini skeins and the main yarn were the same, I believe. So I'm not really sure what happened there. And the actual meterage per weight didn't seem like a sport weight on the pattern. Like it sounded, I think it was this meterage. So I'm really confused by that. But anyway, so before I went to John Arbon, I saw the pattern. I thought it would be really good for trying out mini skeins. I thought, as I'm going to be there, it'd be a really good opportunity to pick some colours I don't normally pick. However, I've inadvertently picked the colour scheme that I always pick. I would say the colour scheme is quite similar to the room I'm in right now. I clearly have a problem. But anyway, that aside, I knew when I was reading the Ravelry projects that there were a lot of problems with the pattern. I saw during the test knit people had commented the fit was really bad. Afterwards people had commented that it was really bad. Someone had commented that there was quite a big error in the pattern. So I kind of went into it thinking it was going to be difficult. And I'm glad I knew that, because I think I would have been really frustrated had I not known. So I started by knitting the pattern as directed, and there was actually like an extra inch of colour work at the top. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the stories. It had like a massive hump of extra fabric on the back shoulders, and rode up. There's just no way it was going to fit. Like, I don't think the natural skeleton is that shape. So I have to be honest, I don't think it would fit anybody, because even if you wore it back to front, the extra bit, which might be good for somebody with a bigger bust, is up here, not up here. So it was just never going to fit anybody, I don't think. And I was a bit disheartened, but I had seen that a couple of people had like cut the top section of the colourwork out, done some short rows on the shoulder, done a funnel neck, did some other things, and so I thought I would cut that section off and see how it looked, because it seemed to me if I cut at a particular point, at that point it might lie flat and not ride up. So that's what I did. I cut just above the orange zigzag. I put in a lifeline, I then cut it, I then picked up, knit maybe one row in the blue, and then did a really thin neckband. I did a really thin neckband because it was quite close to the bottom of my neck, and it looked, if I went any deeper with a neckband, that I would be getting back into funnel neck territory, which I didn't want with this. So the other issue with it was it has two sets of short rows, which in the end might have been my saviour. Some right under the neckband as normal, which I therefore, just before the first part of the colourwork, I therefore cut out because it was before the colourwork. and then a second set below the colourwork. In the pattern they move the beginning of round from the centre back to the shoulder. I think the back left or right shoulder. I'm going to say right because the right looks a bit messy. But they don't move the focal point of the second set of short rows. So somebody had commented about that a month before I purchased the pattern, and the person that's managing comments and feedback said that she would report it to Caitlin Hunter and get it fixed. The pattern I bought did not have a fix. I commented a month ago saying the problem was still there. She said the same thing, and I've yet to receive an updated pattern, so I'm going to assume it's not been fixed. It would require a change of one sentence, I think, to make this fix. If you understand short rows, the basic shaping and construction of a jumper, it's really obvious what the problem is, and you just have to put another beginning of round in for your focal point for the short rows, and it's fine. Like, I noticed the mistake before I started knitting, so I didn't go down that rabbit hole of like it being an issue. What would have happened is you would have had an extra chunk of fabric focused around the shoulder, not the centre of your back, where you want the extra fabric to be so that it rises up for your shoulders. Because of those second set of short rows, I do, even though I cut some out, there are therefore still some short rows in this pattern, and so there is some space for the neck. I'll put it on for you so you can see. It's a bit damp. I got it on the right way around. Yeah. I need to put a label in it. And I am really pleased with the fit now. Hopefully it lies flat at the back. I can't tell. You'll have to tell me that. I'll have a look at the video later. So the only issue is because it was knit top down and then I cut off a knit top up, where I picked it up, it did there was a yellow stitch at the top of each of these points, and some of them you can see and some of them have been messed up. So I'm probably going to go back and duplicate stitch those all back in now that it's been blocked. But I really like it, the combination of the Yarnedelic and the BFL. They go together really well. It feels really comfortable. It does, I think, now fit me perfectly. And it's a jumper I can wear on bare skin, so I can wear it over a t-shirt. A lot of my jumpers I can't wear over t-shirts, and so I need to wear a long sleeve. Even though this is a bit damp, it actually feels really comfortable. Kind of tempted to keep it on. I just might, now that you've seen it. So this is the Laax by Caitlin Hunter. The pattern is about £7.50. I don't know what that is in dollars. I don't recommend it unless you're confident hacking patterns. I don't think it's fair if you're a big pattern publisher to be charging money for patterns that I don't think are fit for purpose when there's mistakes in them that aren't corrected. Obviously I'm being brutally honest here. I think, is the Tegna by Caitlin Hunter? I didn't have any issues with that pattern, but I have had a lot of people complain about the fit of her patterns. And I just think it's out of order if half your testers say that it doesn't fit and that there's big issues and that there's major mistakes and they don't get corrected. The pattern should be taken down and sorted out. Or have a big disclaimer on it. I don't know, I just think it's not good enough. So, I'm being honest, but it is a beautiful chart. I really do like this jumper. I'm kind of annoyed I had to pay for the pattern and then work out how to fix it. I don't know if I would be able to work out in my head how to start the pattern from this point and knit it again without going through all the faff I went through, because my partner actually really likes it and he quite suggested that he might want one. I don't know if I could work that out or not. Probably I could, but that's not the point, right? I don't know. So if you have knit it and you have thoughts, I would like to hear what you think, because, you know, I don't think it was just me, because a lot of other people commented the same thing. I'm really behind on my Ravelry projects, but I will be taking a picture and putting my thoughts on Ravelry because I found it really helpful, those that had, about how to correct the fit. So yeah, actually I really can feel the neckband on this. It is quite high. Ideally, I think it would have been better if it stopped there with no neckband, but there we go. It needed a neckband. Hopefully I'll get used to that feeling. If not, I could rip out the ribbing and just do an I-cord bind off. There are options. But anyway, there we go. That's my other finished object. I'm going to show you my quickest whip and then my big whip. So another pen that I've been doing a bit of jiggery pokery with. I think I shared this with you guys last time. But this is my Lento. You might have noticed there's been a change. So I have kind of technically almost finished it. I've knit the cuffs, which I hadn't done last. I don't think I even had sleeves last time, maybe, or I had part of a sleeve. I've knit the sleeves, but I decided previously, if you didn't see the last one, the neckband was dark green, and I was going to do all the ribbing in dark green. But I decided I didn't like it, and so I took out the neckband, which was actually quite faffy because it was a folded neckband, and I knit this top down. I took it out and I re-knit in the matching yarn. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom, so it will all be these colours. So I knit this in 2 yarns by Boucle Laine, which I was gifted. So I'm just getting them out in these 2. One's an Angora blend and the other isn't. And I held them with a strand of Suri alpaca by Nervus Fibre. This is all I've got left. And I striped these yarns in chunky stripes, carrying this all the way through to make it more subtle. And the reason why it took me so long to knit is because, though I like stripy projects, I don't like knitting them. I don't like doing the twisting of the yarns to carry the yarns up the back. I don't like it, it looks a bit laddery. I find it really tedious. And so it took me a really long time to knit because I just got bored of alternating the yarns. But now that I'm just using 1 yarn for the neck and then we're using 1 yarn for the bottom, you know, it's going to be smooth sailing. I just need to bind the neck off and then redo the bottom, weave in my ends and then block it, and it's done. And so this should be like a cosy, soft, casual sweater. I think it's going to have a bit of positive ease, be a bit baggy, you know, just good for layering in the autumn and winter. So I think I'm going to be really pleased with it. I've had some mixed feelings with it because I haven't particularly enjoyed knitting it. Maybe it's one of those things I need to put away, and then when I get it back out in the autumn I'll be like, yeah, that's really nice and cosy. So there we go. I'm sure by next time I would have finished it and I'll be able to show you what it looks like. I think the other reason why it's taken so long, and maybe because I feel a bit, I'm just checking what time we're on. Weirdly, when I recorded this before, it cut out around about this point, and I don't know why. I wondered if I only had 19 minutes left of time on my phone, but it is still recording, so I think we're okay. But let me just check. Yeah, I think it's all right. I have been working on a really big project since January. I am working on recording some snippets as I go that goes into way more detail about this, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. Sorry, there's like yarn everywhere. But I wanted to show you my progress because I'm really excited. This is the Eastwind Jacket by Emily Foden, which I am knitting in Manchelopis and a strand of mohair. And I have modified it a little bit. Trying to find where the ball of Manchelopis is. Because it's an unspun yarn, so if you're not careful it breaks. So I can't just let it roll around. Sorry, I'm probably making the camera go nuts. Where's the mohair? Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, YouTube. It's tricky. I think I need to start with the other sleeve. Maybe not. One moment. Sorry, the neck is on hold, there's needles hanging off it, there's yarn hanging off it, the sleeve isn't totally sewn up. So this is my Eastwind jacket. The height of the neck and the shape of the neck is a modification. The reason why there's this hole at the moment either side is because this is how far you were meant to bind off to. But that would have been too wide a neck for me, so I bound off more stitches and I still need to sew those up. And I've done some decreasing to get a tighter neck shape. Because I wanted a funnel neck situation. So when I've knit the button bands at the front, I then need to pick up all the way around to do an edging like I did on the bottom, so that's why it's on hold. Oh. And then I just need to finish doing my cuffs, so a bit more ribbing, and it should be done. Well, no, hang on, then I've got to do pockets. So I've got to do button bands, neck edging, pockets, cuffs. So yes. I'm really excited. What do you think? So if you want to know more about the process, the modifications, the yarn, the different things I've done, when I finished it, I'm going to make a whole episode just about the Eastwind because it is a really big project. And I did make a few changes, so especially with the shaping of the neck. And I'm going to explain how I did that. So yeah, I'm really pleased. So that's my big whip at the moment. Which has taken up a lot of brain space because I found it quite complicated, which again I'll talk about in the main video for it. It's just more, you know, I've been knitting a lot of quite basic top-down jumpers. This is a very different thing. So, you know, but it's good to push your mind and try when you can. I did have to put it on pause for a while because my brain got occupied with other things. But that's no longer a brain space occupier, so I'm trying to finish it whilst I've still got that space. So that's sort of my knitting, which I went through a lot quicker than I thought I was going to, so I'm sorry if that was a bit quick. I do have other projects to share, but I'm going to wait till I'm further into them to share them with you, so I'm not showing them every microscopic stage they reach, because I'm kind of flip-flopping a lot between projects at the moment, but I want to finish my Eastwind and I want to finish my Lento and get those off the needles so that I have some brain space to finish my colour craze shawl, the millions of socks I've got lined up, and then I think I'm going to knit a ranunculus with some yarn I've dyed. So, I did a lot of indigo dyeing a while ago, and if I was going to do an edited video, I would have shown you a video of the yarn before and after I over dyed it, but instead I've brought some fabric to represent the colour, because I can't do that. Just to put one clip in, I have to download all the footage, I have to edit it, put it in, render it. The rendering can take 13 hours or overnight. and then upload, and so it's just like a lot of time, so I'm really sorry, you're just going to have to use your imagination slightly. So I was given some white alpaca yarn a long time ago by somebody who didn't want it anymore, somebody in the family. It's I think an Aran weight, and it's just by King Cole, and I indigo dyed it, and so it was this kind of basic dark blue colour, which is a lovely colour, but it's not me. So I decided to, and then I also bought in a sale some naturally dyed mohair in the same colour, with the intention of making a ranunculus. But I don't like that kind of blue, to be honest. Like this kind of, the blue of that dress, that's a dress my grandmother made, which I've kept for memories, because she's no longer here. But it's not a blue I wear. I like more complicated blues, and to be honest, I like teal more than that colour. So I decided to over dye them with a yellow dye so that I'd either get green or teal. So the alpaca came out, I'm dropping it on everywhere, quite variegated. So you can see there's lighter sections and darker sections. And the mohair the same. I love the colour of this mohair. It's like a dark seafoam green, grunge, yellowy. I think it's beautiful. It came out quite a different colour to this, so I'm not sure if I can now hold them together to knit a ranunculus or not. I think I might do a swatch and see what colour it comes out. And if the colour combo is not great, then I will knit something else with these. I think this is like one of my perfect colours, so I'm really keen not to waste it. But alpaca is a yarn that stretches out, so I don't think I could knit something with just this unless it was a shawl. And I've only got, I think, 700 metres, so kind of limited by what sort of jumper or garment I'd be knitting. And I like the idea of a silk mohair to give it strength and keep its shape. It shouldn't stretch out of shape if I hold it with a mohair, and I don't really want to buy any more yarn because I have enough. So I'm going to see, they might look stunning together. So this is probably my next project. I've never knit the ranunculus before, and I really want to. So yeah. It does feel a little bit like I probably haven't washed out all of the dye. It was a bit tricky because there was so much in the pot because I put them all in together. So I think I might have to be careful about what I'm wearing when I knit with it, because indigo does crock off. So that means you do get traces of blue on your skin. And then I might have to really give the jumper a good wash once it's been knit up. So yeah, if you've knit ranunculus, let me know your tips and tricks. I think I might go down a needle size so it's not too oversized. Guess I'm kind of hoping for this kind of shape, maybe, but maybe with bigger sleeves. I don't know, what do you think? I'm quite excited. And I like the idea of quite an easy project after, I'm sorry, I think the camera's going a bit crazy. I think it stopped. I quite like the idea of an easy project after what has been quite hard work with this and the Eastwind. However, I do have lots of other jumpers in my queue that I'd quite like to work on. I'd quite like to work on the Nervus Sweater by Petite Knitter, the Alpine sweater, Arbon Glow by Andrea Mowry. Actually, she has a big pattern sale on them. I need to check I've got the pattern. I'm pretty sure I have the pattern and the yarn. I also have the pattern and the yarn for the Wool and Honey, which I've been putting off forever. The Soiree by Emily Foden. Like, I have 4 or 5 jumper patterns queued. So yeah, I don't know. Really want to knit the Nervus Sweater by Petite Knitter, but I don't have quite the right quantities of the yarn. So it would be, some thought would need to go into it. There's also a colourwork yoke. So maybe I need to pick an easier battle. I'd also quite like to do the Soiree because I do have the brain space at the moment for something that's a bit complicated. and that might change at some point, so because lots of stuff coming up, so maybe I want to get a head start on that whilst I can. I don't know, I'm undecided, we shall see, because it'd be nice to have a soiree for the winter. Let me know what you think. So the last thing, I have micro acquisitions. The first one is a fabric and the second one is a yarn. So I went to Merchant and Mills the other week. It was a surprise last minute visit. My partner bought something in Hastings off eBay, and so we drove the long way around to go see his family in Suffolk. And he said, we're basically going to be next door to Rye. Do you want to go to Merchant and Mills? And how could I possibly say no to that? You all know I'm obsessed. But I really didn't know what to buy. I really didn't want to buy something for the sake of it, because the fabric isn't cheap. There is something that I would really like, but I don't think they do it anymore, and I don't think it's going to come back. It's their Tencel Twill in the colour Mulberry. Absolutely, like, my favourite trousers ever I made from that, and I've completely worn through them. And I have mended them, but they're not really fit to wear out the house. So if anybody has Mulberry Tencel Twill by Merchant & Mills in their stash that they don't want, please tell me, because I adore it. It was my absolute favourite, and they don't do it anymore. Nor do they do like a comparable fabric in a comparable colour. For me, I mean, it's a very similar colour to my Eastwind. It is a colour that I never thought I'd wear, but I absolutely love. And so I was really umming and ahhing. I did get some like buttons and things like that, but I bought this 1 metre remnant of Boston Full. That's the colourway of their linen, which I believe is normally £23 a metre, maybe 25. But you get 20% off remnants, so this was £17.50, and it's probably a little bit more than a metre. I've not unwound it yet, and it's 1.5 metres wide, so I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I don't know if I'm going to make a sleeveless dress, a skirt, a top. I would quite like a long sleeve linen top, but I don't know how cosy and comfortable that would be in reality. If you have any good pattern suggestions, let me know. But I do have quite a lot of linen skirts, especially in earthy colours. I have quite a lot of hinterland dresses in linen. So, and I have a sleeveless, more orange than this is. This is more of a toffee colour dress already. So I'm not sure that a sleeveless orange brown dress is the answer. So let me know what you think. I'm not in a hurry to use it, but equally it's quite an autumnal colour. And I just love linen. It just gets so soft, it wears so well. The good thing about going to the shop is the remnants, and be able to pick out those remnants at 20% off.